All right, welcome back. This is going to be towards the end of the videos that we're making here. So we've got basically all of the paint stuff is done. Winglets, body, engines, everything's been done. So now we're moving on to the registrations. So if we pull up our picture here, we'll talk about GA registrations real quick. GA registrations are typically two different styles. We have this style, which you see here, which is basically a type we call it AV semi-round. You can kind of see it's sort of flat here, but also sort of round. There's also AV rounded, which would be like the 9 is fully rounded. For example, here, I pull one up real quick that I know has a rounded font. So this is one of Planet 9 Air's Falcons. And if we look at, so you see how that 996 is rounded like that. That would be an AV rounded font. And finally, we have Amarillo GA USAF, which is a font that's used primarily for U.S. Air Force aircraft and their markings. However, it's a bit modified for GA. Yeah, so if I pull up here, if we wanted to open up our text, which is shortcut just T on your keyboard, this would allow us to place text. So you see Amarillo USFGAV2. I typed 979 Charlie Foxtrot, which you can't see because I have it in white right now. I don't know why it didn't change anything. Here. There we go. So you can kind of see the more square edges you see here. That is kind of the characteristic of Amarillo USAFGA, and that is all these fonts. They're not really publicly available. You're more than happy to contact me if you want to get your hands on one of these fonts. The USAF GA version this is one that I've made personally. I've modified it to be more representative of what GA has. So the only way you're going to find that specific version is through me. But like I said, feel free to contact me if you want to have one of these fonts for use on your repaints. So as you can see on our picture, we are going to be using AV semi-rounds for this. So we'll go ahead and highlight that. I'll put my N in here in front and then change that. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So if we look on here, it looks like we got a blue text foreground with a black text background. We're going to go ahead and we're going to change the black text to our primary. We want to have our background down on the bottom. So Charlie Foxtrot, we'll change that to AV semi-round. Straight right there. And I usually start out at text size 100. And then I'm going to not move the entire paint layer, just move the text layer. Because you kind of see it's based off of right about there is where we want it to be, and we'll have a look at where it's at. It's basically all the way over towards the edge here, so we probably want that to be up about 120 or so on the font size. So we'll try 120, see how that looks. We might have to go back down. We don't know here. Yeah, that's probably about good. Look at the wireframe. Or maybe we'll do 115. Like I said, this is all guesstimation basically at this point. So, nope. That's not what we want to do. This is where we Control Z. So 115. Come back here. And here's one of the characteristics of AV semi-round at this point. So you can see there's really bad gaps here. They're not very evenly put. So what we're going to have to do here is actually, first of all, take a look at how much gap we typically have. It's about what we have here between the C and the F. And we're actually going to have to use our rectangular select tool, R. We'll highlight the area we want to move. So we want to move these 4 over towards closer to the C. We will press Control X, which is cut, Control V to paste. So now we have an entirely new layer of what we just cut. This also changes it from a text layer to a just normal layer at this point. So any color changes we'll have to do through a different process than we did with the text. So So right about there, that looks like a good distance. We will paste, and then what I do is I just merge the pasted layer down into the text layer, so the text layer is one again. The 7 and the 9 are about right, so we'll just go back over here to the end of the 9, and we'll do the same process. Control X, Control V, move over. Check down here at the bottom where it says cut pixels clipboard, make sure we don't move any vertically. So 0 right there, that looks good. We'll paste and merge down, and then we'll move the N as well. So Control X, Control V, move. And we'll wait for the cut pixels. Okay, very good. We didn't move any in vertical. Paste, merge down. Now you can choose to just leave it like this, or you can go to layer, crop to content, and that just crops it down to the text. So now at this point, we're going to want to duplicate this layer, at least in this terms, twice. So I'm going to take the bottom layer out. That's going to be used on the other side. I'm just going to move that over there for now. So now we have our two layers, these two right here. Those are what are going to be on our left side. Now you can kind of see how the black is moved out to the left and down on the right side. On the left side, it's going to be moved out to the right and down typically. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go first on top, we're going to change this to blue. So how we're going to do that is go map, or colors, map, color exchange. Click on the black here and change it to blue down here. So now we've got a blue top layer, and how we're going to get that offset that we saw, go edit layer attributes, and then typically on this I'll start out with 2 pixels of change on each, so change 3066 to 3068 and 508 to 510. And looking out here, we probably need 1 more pixel on both sides, so we'll try 1 more, and that looks pretty good. So I'll merge down into 1 layer. I will name this reg left, and then finally you can kind of see how it's kind of cockeyed a little bit. How we do that is using shortcut Shift H, which is a shear, and then you can change the magnitude of the X of the shear. So I know it looks really weird right now. We'll delete that back, and then this is not a major shear. Typically I use about -30 on the left side and then 30 on the right side. This will probably be a -20 or so. So I'll shear -20, and then as you can see there, looking at what we have on here, or in the picture versus what we have on here, that looks pretty spot on. We'll export it to the sim just to take a look. And looking at what we have on here, that looks pretty good. That looks very good. So all we have to do now is we will take this layer and move it down to the right side, all the way down here. Try to line it up appropriately for what we saw. So we are looking primarily at this little area right here. It's about that far up, and then we'll duplicate once more. Colors, map, color exchange on the top layer, and we can use our presets, our history. So we just did that blue one right there. And now in this time we will subtract 3 from the X and add 3 to the bottom. So we get that offset to the left. Typically that offset needs to be in the direction of where you are shearing. So now we'll Shift H to shear this one. And remember on the right side here, we're going to do a positive number. So we'll shear 20, get it to shear to the left. And that looks pretty good. I'll actually move this over a little bit more. And we're going to go ahead and export. On the left, on the right, it looks a little close there. So we will have to adjust that as necessary. We'll go on the back here. Perhaps we need to move the right side a little down a little more. So yeah, that F should be a little bit farther back. So Go check this again. So we'll move that down a little bit. That probably is good. Go back to the right side, just check and make sure, see how this looks. That looks pretty good. Probably about as good as it's gonna get. So at this point, the repaint's done. Everything we've done, it's everything we need to do on the repaint. As far as we know, there's not any like little logos or anything else we have to add somewhere. So those are good. If we wanted to add little logos or something, we would go File, Open as Layers, open the logo file that you want to add, things like that. So I'm going to close that paint up there. File, save. So at this point, like I said, the repaint's done. And then I will go through in the next video how we are going to actually save and export for an FSX style or anything, save and export for simulators to be able to use.